Welcome to New Tracks Modeling. New Tracks provides unique mentoring opportunities to enhance your modeling skills by connecting with talented modelers and manufacturers from around the globe who generously share their knowledge and artistic expertise. Build your confidence, refine modeling techniques, and share your projects with a supportive community of fellow modelers, all while enjoying the world's most rewarding hobby. Join us every Wednesday at 7 p.m. Eastern on Zoom and YouTube for our free live program. Missed a program? No problem. Individual show segments are uploaded to YouTube for convenient on-demand viewing. Be sure to connect with the New Tracks community by joining the New Tracks Facebook page, where you can interact with other modelers and see what they are modeling. Visit our website at www.newtracksmodeling.com, where you'll find information about upcoming events and the latest issue of our magazine, New Tracks Modeler. New Tracks Modeler features articles from builds on the show, exciting new products, and other great articles. And now, here is the host of New Tracks Modeling, Tom Farrell.
Good evening, and welcome to New Tracks Modeling, the live Zoom and YouTube show that airs every Wednesday at 7 p.m. Eastern. Jim Kello, master model railroader and New Tracks mentor, founded New Tracks Modeling approximately 5 years ago. Jim established New Tracks Modeling to create a supportive educational community where mentors help modelers improve their modeling skills. New Tracks Modeling extends beyond this live program. Our family of platforms include our Facebook page, a dedicated website, and the New Tracks Modeler digital magazine. We're also excited to continue with our New Tracks Mentoring Scholarship Program, an initiative you'll hear more about later in the show. Everything we do is entirely free for our participants. Our entire team is made up of volunteers who support New Tracks Modeling and the model railroading community. One more thing about the show: we upload to YouTube after it ends the entire show, and then later, 2 or 3 days later, typically at your convenience. Before we get rolling down the tracks this evening, we'd like to thank our sponsor, Brennan's Model Railroading. Here's a brief video.
Tonight's New Tracks Modeling Meetup is sponsored by Brennan's Model Railroading. For over 25 years, Brennan's Model Railroading has been offering unique products focused on the O-scale market. Their flagship product, Brennan's Better Ballast, was an instant hit and continues to be the industry leader. The prototypical size and natural color blend of real crushed granite make it the choice for discerning modelers. Since then, Brennan's has developed a complementary line of natural ground cover materials. Brennan's also has craftsman kits that anyone can build. The complete photographically illustrated instructions assume you've never done this before, and explain in step-by-step detail how to create an outstanding model. The Frank Ellison Tribute series of kits are amazing additions to any layout. These kits take Frank Ellison's scratch-built iconic structures to a new level using modern methods and materials with Dennis Brennan's additional details and amazing instructions. See the complete line of products on the Brennan's Model Railroading website. Use the QR code to visit.
I encourage all of our Zoomers and our YouTube people to support Brennan's Model Railroading. Our expenses are nominal, and I should point out that Dennis Brennan, the proprietor of Brennan's Model Railroading, contributes not only to the show as its chief sponsor, but also to our scholarship and to the magazine. New Tracks Modeler, the digital magazine, comes out once a month. So support him, and you're supporting us. Now let's take a look at what's ahead for this evening's program. We have Ben Poole, a personal friend of mine, and I visited his home back in April of this year, took a series of photographs of this Soggy bottom ON30 railroad. It's just a spectacular, highly detailed model railroad, and he's going to tell us all about it on a photo by photo basis. Really looking forward to Ben's contribution this evening and seeing this layout again. Then we have another new sponsor, Santa Clarita Products, Greg Tomey, or Tommy, his handy holders. I personally use one of his handy holders for the refill, and he's a new sponsor of New Tracks, and we want to welcome him to do a little product review this evening. And then Kurt Thompson, part 2 of 2, building a prototype scene. He did a really interesting program last week on a naval base in Norfolk, Portsmouth, that area. And now he's going to show us the modeling of it. And then we have our New Tracks MyBuild, a free-for-all. Chris Coarse, longtime supporter of the show. And then we'll have our caboose and our closing. So it's going to be an exciting show, kicked off with Ben Poole. And before we have Ben on, though, there's one more item. I'd like to showcase our New Tracks Modeling Scholarship Program. And here's a video, and we'll have a few words about that afterwards.
The New Tracks Modeling Mentoring Scholarship is the only national scholarship for model railroaders from a volunteer nonprofit organization. For academic year 2025-26, we are awarding 4 $2,000 scholarships for model railroaders pursuing a STEAM degree. We hope to award a similar number of scholarships for the 2026-27 academic year. We believe it is critical to support the next generation of model railroaders. You can support the New Tracks Modeling Mentoring Scholarship by donating online using the Zephy platform or directly by check. All donations are tax deductible.
And now we have a few words from Hank Primus. He's the president director of the New Tracks Scholarship Mentoring Program. Welcome back, Hank.
Oh, thank you. It's been a long time. It's glad to be back. I'm about 75% recovered, but it feels better than not being recovered. Can you hear me?
We can hear you just fine.
Okay, because I pushed the wrong button, my screen went blank.
You're there.
With the scholarship, I want to say two things. There are 2 portions to it. One, we need to raise funds for the scholarship. So whatever amount you can donate is greatly appreciated. You can use the Zephy thing, or you can send a check. I believe that somewhere on here there's an address where the checks can go, but every amount donated is appreciated. These scholarships come from model railroaders like us that maybe will skip a kit and put the money in and keep on going. And another portion of it is we need young people to apply for the scholarship. We've had several, but we're looking to expand it because the more people that apply, that drives us to go out and find more money for more scholarships. One of the things that people can do, if you are a member of your alumni association from either high school or college or whatever type of school you did, go back to that institution and ask them, we have scholarships. Here's how you can apply for them. It's all on the web and it's easy to do. So 2 things I'm asking you to do is A, donate, and B, ask young people, many going back to schools where you had once gone yourselves. Yes, if you're like me and it's been a million years since you've been in school, it's a whole lot different. But if we have people interested in model railroading, they're really no different than we were. So that's what I would appreciate if you would do. And I will now turn it back to Tom.
Thank you, Hank, and glad that you're back in good health. And like Hank says, we need donations. What we really need is more people to apply for the scholarship. As funny as that seems, we'd like to increase the number of scholarships and the size of the scholarships, but I think our priority right now is to get more STEM students to apply so we have a greater choice, make it harder on our staff. Well, next, we're going to begin the show, and I'm pleased to have Ben Poole, personal friend of mine. Ben, welcome to the show, and glad you're on this evening.
Yeah, thank you, Tom. What I wanted to say as the slideshow starts is I guess I'm a modeler going back to age 6, like just about every one of us. And I did modeling when I was a kid, then I dropped it when I was in high school and college and that sort of thing, and then picked it up again when I had young children. And then once everybody was out of the house, it's really, started to launch because now I'm having a ton of fun. And ton of fun is essentially the reason why I do all of the things I do, whether it's this or sing in the choir or play music, whatever the case may be, is I try to have fun in everything I do. Um, I'm also a collector, and so that's going to be important as you see when I start going through the slides. Our dear friend Al Judy, who passed away a little over a year ago, and I used to have this thing. We would go to shows together, especially Al's shows, the ones that he was in charge of. And we would sort of compete on finding works of art, the best stuff you could possibly find, the best modelers out there. Some of whom may have already passed away, but some of whom were, over there in the room, and we were talking with them. But when stuff like that became available, money would fly out of my wallet, right? And the reason I walk you through all that is I'm going to show you the layout that I have right here in my basement. It's the Soggy Bottom and Soggy Bottom and Deep Cut Railway Navigation and Cartage Company. And I did not build that layout, but I bought that layout because it is truly a work of art. And I wanted to, before I get into any of the slide, I wanted to give a shout out to the guys, the team that put it together, built it. There was a crew up in the Columbus, Ohio area. Terry Stapleton, Michael Yoakum, Josh Yoakum, Terry Hansley, Jim Kane, John Clark, John D. McDonald. Some of these names you recognize because they're on our Facebook group, right? Bob Lintelman, Bill Bruback, Fred Bischoff, Phil Rowe, who's passed away, Dave Tenney, Gary Young, Fritz Prosch, and then the backdrop was done by Bob Ross. So those are the people that put this layout together, and I've done all kinds of things to it right now that I have it, but they're the ones that had the genius and they put it together. So let's go ahead and start the slides. And while that's going, I did want to show you the layout is featured in Narrow Gauge Gazette. This was the May-June issue of 2017, and then it's also featured in the ON 30 annual, the 2017 year. So if you guys want to read up a little bit about it, you can do that because I'm pretty sure everybody has those magazines like I do. All right. While we're waiting, I want to give a special thank you to Dennis Brennan. We really do appreciate everything you're doing and sponsoring and putting your resources in to help us. Okay, next slide. When Tom came to visit in April, we had a lot of fun. We ran trains, we walked around the layout, we did all kinds of things, took pictures. Tom's got some great ideas for some things I'm working on, other projects that are, moving slowly. This is so the layout is 12 feet by 8 feet, and it's modular. So you have it's I'll call it deployable, right? You can break it down, put it into the racks, roll them out, put them on a trailer, and take it anywhere you want. A little bit clunky to do that because it's big, and it takes a lot of time and effort. And frankly, if I had to do that by myself, I don't know if I could. So I've never taken it anywhere, but the team, the Soggy Boys, they call themselves, they used to take it to shows. This particular farmhouse is on one of the end modules. And I'm pretty sure this is a Terry Stapleton art, work of art. If you look at it, you can see it's got on the left side a little bit of a shack there. It's got a road. You can see where it merges into the backdrop that's painted. The detail is just incredible. And I think the next slide, yeah, let's do the next slide because it's showing you more of the front of that same building. And if you look carefully, I'm a huge fan of painted figures. I like to have figures all over the place because that's where the stories get told. You can see when there's a conversation between somebody and all of a sudden, like right here, for example, we've got, the woman of the house is out there having a little bit of a conversation with somebody who just stole an apple, and now we can't be stealing apples. And so we're not sure, what the end result was, but she made herself very well clear, don't be doing that. So that's just a tiny little scene. You're going to see some others coming up. So let's go to the next one. There we go. Terry Stapleton definitely built this. This is the station, the Soggy Bottom station. This reminds me here. I'm looking at the locomotive, that old junkyard dog. That reminds me. The layout is all dead rail, and the Soggy boys hand laid all the track. If you look, you can tell when you see the grass there. That's all the static electric grass. So I think when I was talking to them, some of them that I've spoken with over the years, they had to develop new skills to do the layout. And I mean, really great. Look at the trees in the back behind the station. We've got one of the wagons there, on the back to the right. That's part of the cartage company, right? The Soggy Bottom Deep Cut. That's the cartage portion. I can run trains, especially with dead rail. I've got a number of dead rail locomotives, so I run them off my iPhone. I can just sit here. This is my little home office, right? And I can just run trains. It's right there and hit the whistle, bells, whatever. And it's fantastic. So I wanted to really call out Terry Stapleton because he is truly a genius at building structures. Really, really good. Let's go to the next one. Oh yeah, there we go. There's the back of the barn, the back of the farm that Terry built. Now the figures. You see the guy in the overalls. That's Dan Walshan, who's he may be on the show right now. But I've got a lot of figures that came out of the Mid Hudson group where Les Davis did scans of a lot of us. There's figures of me. There's figures of Larry Knapp. There's figures of Alan Littlefield. Right, a lot of people. Alan Carroll, who's passed away. And it's really, for me, it's so much fun to have figures of my friends in the layout all over the place, right? And so I may have 8 or 10 different Dan Walshans floating around or Alan Littlefields, but they pop up in different places and different scenes. And I really like creating the scenes that can tell a story. That's probably the one thing that I do more than anything else is I'll take a bunch of photos and I'll come up with a story. I haven't done so many lately, but I used to do them a lot. And I'll get back to doing them again, and basically making fun. I'm having fun. I make up names, right? Broccoli, a guy named Broccoli. Well, Broccoli, right? That's one of the ones that's not quite so sassy. Let's go to the next slide. All right, here's a close up of the station. You can tell we got a Victorian theme going on with the figures there. There's two parts on the layout where I have sort of the Victorian theme that the Soggy boys had put together. I really like that. And the things that I wanted to point out, like, look, if you look at the floorboards at the very end, everything's, we'll call it weathered, but just beat to hell, right? Like they would be. So everything's got a sense of realism on this layout. It's really, really fantastic. So definitely calling out to the guys that built it. One of the things that they told me was, and this is important coming up to the next slide, they used, do you guys remember the Muscat Ramble and Smuggler's Cove from Australia? The layouts, they were featured years ago. Jeff Knott was one of the inspirations for those. And so the Soggy boys for this layout got inspiration from those layouts. And the next slide is something that Jeff Knott put together. And this is it's basically, I would call it a shadow box, but it's really big. It's like 4 feet by 3 feet deep by 3 feet tall, and it's lit up inside. It's got a removable front panel. And so here's yet another thing. I found this work of art and I bought it and I had to get it home, right? I had to go pick it up and bring it home, but it is absolutely spectacular and is built by Jeff Knott. You can see in the background there's a yellow locomotive, and of course, if you were to look close to it, it's all rusted out. It's just disgusting. Why? Because in this particular type of scene, it's super humid, right? It's just like Florida swamps. This would be in Australia. We'll call it Florida swamps for us. And so I really enjoy, the fact that I can run trains. That has a running loop in the back. And I have a work of art that came here from Australia. And I enjoy, running trains on these things once in a while. Whenever I'm in that room, I go do that. And I wanted to make sure that you guys had a chance to see that because that's part of the inspiration for the Soggy Bottom layout. The next slide is a close-up of the shack, right? And by the way, I'll go put a whole lot of other figures in up. We'll have a bunch of people drinking beer, and I'll put a keg on that porch, and all of a sudden we got ourselves a college, keg party before watching a football game. So I can do all kinds of things with these scenes because I've got, a couple hundred figures, all different poses and stuff like that. And that's really what I do enjoy. So this is Jeff Nutt. That's the close-up. One more slide, I think, from him. The next one. As you can see a little bit closer to the locomotive, but check out the foliage, the trees. It really remarkable that he picked essentially a section of the country for him in Australia and then made that exact thing. We do the same, right? We have Colorado or we've got the swamplands of South Carolina, pick whatever it is here, or Caribbean, cane railroads, things like that. So we do the same thing, but this came from Australia. So I really enjoy it. And I try to make sure that when I run anything on here, it's going to be something that's applicable to that particular setting. All right, let's keep going. Next up, now, remember I call them works of art. So that, I don't know if we can call that a locomotive. That's a critter of some sort that is attached to essentially a trailer. And Dave Wingrove, who you guys, if you don't know him, he's very well written. He's in the Gazette over the years. He's in the ON 30 annual over the years, and he makes things. When we go to the Mid-Hudson meet, for example, he'll just sit there and in the course of 2 days, he starts with just a bunch of, mechanisms and parts from HO scale, and then a bunch of plastic bits and pieces, and he's got his toolbox, and all of a sudden, by the time you leave on Saturday, he has just now manufactured something. It doesn't take him that long, right? And he built that thing. I don't even know what to call it, right? But it's awesome. And again, it's a work of art. And I've got that staged. This is yet another thing. Larry Knapp, who I think everybody knows, is a good friend of mine. And he built a couple of modules that I had the privilege of buying from him. And this is one of those. And the next slide, let's go to the next one, shows you this ginormous coal tipple that he built. And it's on there on that same module. And so I haven't yet figured out how I can get this thing integrated with Soggy Bottom. I don't know if I ever will. But I do have a lot of modules that either I've built or I've got from friends like Larry that I also run trains on in another room. There's probably too many trains in this household, but or I should say we can never have enough trains. Let's go with that line. But I did want to call out Larry because this thing it's a work of art. It's something like, Tom Farrell, you might actually make something like this, or you have, right? Very nice. All right, let's go to the next one. A scene. Oh yeah, I like this. There's a coal tipple here on Soggy Bottom, and there's some fun scenes going on. Basically, these are the guys that are supposed to get the explosives, and then they get on the train and they go in and they go down into the mine and they're blowing stuff up and having a good time. And then they bring all the coal out, and this is them gathering, at the top before they go down to do that work. And so it's just a scene, and it's really kind of neat to have that. It's on one of the corners. There's a close up, one of the corners of the layout, and there's a guy getting ready. He's drinking some coffee. Right on. All right, let's keep rolling. Okay, we got, so, all right, this is a chandlery, a boat chandlery, and you can see there's a boat in the canal right in front of it. You haven't really seen the canal yet, so I did want to point out the layout is not just a railroad, but it's got canals on both of the lengthwise side, the 8 or 12-foot sides. And so I got canal boats all over the place also. So if you have canal boats, you got to have a place where you can get your canal boats, the provisions and repairs and things like that. This, I believe Bob Lintelman built this building, one of the Soggy boys. And the canals came from the fact that the Soggy boys are from middle of Ohio. And so they were modeling in think about 1890 to 1900 time frame when you had both railroads and you still had canals. And so that's a part of life for them. We don't have a whole lot of canals where I live down in Atlanta, Georgia. We have the Chattahoochee River, but nothing like that. And so it's really cool that I get to do both boats, a little bit of waterworks and then railroading as well. And of course, it is the Soggy Bottom Deep Cut Railway Navigation and Cartage Company, right? Sorry, let's keep rolling. Okay, so right next to there's a lock for the canals, right? It opens up, and right next to that is the lock keeper's house, and the lock keeper's wife is very, very prolific at her gardening, and there you have um, the garden, which is it's just a again, there's just a little scene, right? And that's I think we all know what makes our layouts pop and come to life is when you have just scenes of every day, whatever's going on. There's some chickens in there, right? Sunflowers in the back. And so that's to me, it just brings me joy to walk around the layout and see what's going on. And then I change the scenes a little bit and got something else to talk about. All right, next up. We got there's a pipe barn, right? Because the one of the companies that's here is in that business. So you see a lot of steel rail and pipe. Just the weathering, the details, things of that sort. Just really, really nice to have. Very, very disparate types of business. And when I say that, you're going to see a few more things coming up that are a lot of fun. If we go to the next slide, um, there's Wagner's Markets in the back. You can barely see the sign. That's the green building with the wagon in front. And then over to the right is the Soggy Bottom Shout, which is the newspaper in town. But front and center, we've got a critter. And I wanted to give a shout out to Ben Piffero out in California. He built that from scratch. So he grabs mechanisms and then he 3D prints some components and then he builds them. And I've got quite a few of his locomotives that I picked up over the years. And they are dead rail. Almost all of them are dead rail. And I love running those because you just get the iPhone. There we go. So that's another view. Now we've got a what do you want to call him? A medicine salesman, selling the elixir. He's got a little thing going on with some live music and trying to sell his bottles. The newspapers in the back. Got the locomotive right there. We got a pile driver that magically showed up. It's parked, ready to get run out to set up some of the piles next to the canals. Here we can keep rolling. And there we have the old canal swill distillery, or we call it the distillery. And that is the reason why this town exists on this layout. So you can see the canal boat right in front. The railroad and the canal boats bring in all of the raw materials, the grain to make the, the grain alcohol. And the legend has it that the canal water is what they use. Of course, the canal water is green and nasty, but that that alcohol will give you a headache and a hangover mighty quick. And so we make up a lot of our stories have to do with all the guys and gals that work for the Soggy Bottom Railroad, and they're who knows where they are out on the line, but they always got to get back in time to hit the bar and make sure they're getting some old swill. So that is one of the most fun things we have on the layout. And one thing I want to point out is all the buildings are detailed interiors. So if we pull off the roof, either one of those roofs on there, you're going to see a very fully functioning distillery inside, which I don't really get to see very often because I don't typically take the roof off, but it's really cool when I do. And that's all the buildings are like that, which is great. All right, next up, we've got a close-up of one of the canal boats. But also in the back, that's the transfer warehouse. So basically, like everybody has somewhere in their layouts. You got the boats bringing in material, the train bringing in material. Everything gets transferred into the warehouse, and then it goes either by truck or by train to wherever it needs to go. And so that's a focal point. And what I like to do is I set up all kinds of different scenes coming and going. We might have a keg party in that porch just because it's a big porch. And it's again, it's all about having some fun, right? So, all right, let's keep rolling. Here we go. Close up of the canal boat right out in front of the distillery. Now, I had some figures. If you look at the green roofs on that boat, there were some sunbathing women on those roofs of the boat, and they didn't have any clothes on. And so, Tom, when he visited, I had to, remove anything that might be insinuating. So we took them off, but that's where they typically exist when they're not stuffed in a drawer somewhere, as they're out sunbathing on the top deck of that boat. Again, it's a scene. Don't want to offend anybody, but it's great to be able to have fun in lots of different ways. All right, let's keep rolling. Very good. Michael Yoakum from Ohio built this building. It's right next to, you can almost see the poles in the back, right? The pipes. It's right next to the pipe barn. And there was a murder in the building. And so the police have come, they've done the outline. You can see that there. And so we've got a whole story that goes around the fact that there was a murder in Soggy Bottom and who could let that happen and what, where, when, and how, and all that. And then the Soggy Bottom Shout, they had to come out and investigate, right? They got a journalist, a reporter who did that. Just again, we're goofy, right? We like to have all kinds of different things. But Michael did a great job building this building. He did it as a favor for me. And it slid perfectly into the layout. And so I like to actually I leave that roof open because it's fun to see what's going on in there. All right, next up. That is the bordello. All right. So that's the let's see, the Brotherhood, I can't remember, BOOB. Oh, the Benevolent Order of Boatmen and Sailors. Can't nothing. If you figure out what that acronym would be, BOOBS, there's no trains don't work in that. So we had to go with the Boatmen and the Sailors, and you can tell it's got lighting in there, and you can't really tell, but there's somebody hanging out the window because he's getting in trouble because he got caught in the bordello. So again, it's lighthearted, right? We like to have fun. It's one of the buildings on Main Street in Soggy Bottom, and the train goes right by in front of it, right? So okay, let's keep going. Yep. There's a blacksmith shop, which is not too far from the bordello. Again, a lit and detailed interior. The fact that we've got so many details in the weathering, it's just, again, I love the layout. It's just fantastic. I wish I knew exactly which of the Soggy boys built this, but I don't. So one of the guys I called out at the beginning is the artist who built this building. All right, what's next? What do we got next? Here we are, another interior, right? I think all of us like to do interiors. When I do the work that I have, Benevolent Order of Brakemen and Steamers. Ooh, well done, Phil. I see that we might have to change it. Brakemen and Steamers. Anyway, this building gets populated with a lot of people, right? A lot of figures. We put them in there, and it's just the one thing some people probably know from the postings that I do over the years is the Soggy Bottom Railroad crew. They're inherently lazy. They just don't like to work. So we got them in all kinds of situations, leaning on the wall, leaning on a shovel, leaning on a lot of things, but not doing any work, sitting around eating a sandwich or drinking coffee or drinking something else. Nobody's working. And that to me is a lot of fun because now, that's a whole theme, and we continue to ride that. And one day, we'll get people that maybe they show up for work, but not too often, not in Soggy Bottom. All right, next up, we've got there's a church, and the church has a cemetery. And so now we got some interesting figures in the cemetery, right? This is I guess we'll call him our gravekeeper. And the woman in there has lost her husband, and he just got buried. And do we have is there another one of the scenes? Yeah, next up is the front of the church, and we're going to call it a shotgun wedding. And somebody looks like she might already be pregnant. And her dad is right there with a nice blunderbuss, old-timey shotgun, making sure that this this whole wedding happens. So that's something else. Again, so many of the scenes on the layout they're just fun, right? That's what we try to do. All right, let's keep going. There's a close-up of Wagner's. And then to the right, you can see kind of the edge of the transfer warehouse, Soggy Bottom warehouse. We have, for the cartage company, we've got a lot of different conveyances, right? All kinds. Some are weathered, some are new. And they pop up periodically all over the layout. In this one, you got the horse who they're delivering milk, and the horse decided he needed to go in and check out. He knew there was some candy in there, and he's got a thing for candy, so he's trying to get himself in the door. So that's kind of a fun scene. There's a guy up there hammering away. He's putting a patch on the roof, although he somehow got himself above the ladder. That's kind of dangerous. And then this guy over here on the right behind the horse is playing pocket pool in front of the newspaper shop. So just reasons to have fun and give you something to talk about when you have friends that come over. Um, Next up, this is just a delivery truck. It's out in front of the hotel on one of the end pieces. It's an end module. I'm still developing this section. Matter of fact, I think I'm going to take the hotel out and put something else in it. It's huge. And so that we definitely had a lot of people up there on that porch doing all kinds of different drinking and parties and stuff like that. Um, Next over, this is you remember one of the first slides showed that farmhouse. This is the shack across the dirt road from the farmhouse, and it's super detailed. Really incredible work. And again, I think this was Terry Stapleton. Um, I just, I love to just sit there and look at these things once in a while, and it inspires me to be better, try new things when I'm doing my modeling. And my modeling is okay, nothing like that, but we still try. And then we got one more. I think we're getting near the end. Back to the farm. Yep, there's Dan again. Um, and I think that's it. Yeah. So do we have any questions? Anybody? Did I leave anything out?
You
All
know,
right.
then we could do another segment simply on the things in your office on your first floor.
Yeah, we could. We could. So what Tom's talking about is I've got a lot of little display, like where you have a big line of track and display, and then they're covered, right? I got a lot of those and a lot of modules. I like to build modules are about 12 inches by 12 inches, so I have probably 5 or 6 of those, and then a lot of locomotives. I have this we'll call it an illness. I bought a lot of locomotives from Al Judy, a lot from Alan Littlefield. These are works of art from Dave Wingrove, Ben Piffero now, who's built these things. And I mean, I got far too many to do anything with other than I display them. And then once in a while I go grab one and I run it. So they all run and they all run great. Um, and so that's my upstairs home office. This is my downstairs home office. And I still have to work for a living. So I do enjoy relocating my venue within the house, through the course of the day. And I can make noise down here with the layout, or I can make noise upstairs. I got by the way, an Al Judy 4x4 layout, like a little mini layout. I run that a lot because that's right next to my desk in my home office. Um, and that's what brings me joy. I love having fun, but being able to own works of art from the geniuses that are our friends and our colleagues, people that we look up to. And by the way, every one of these guys will sit down with you, and they have with me, and just work on something. They'll model with you and say, hey, try this, try that. What do you think about that? So I learn every time, I'm 63, but I'm still learning every time I see these guys. And so make sure you do that. Get together with your friends. I'm sure, I hope all of you are. Get together with your friends, have some adult beverages if that's your thing, right? Um, and make sure you have fun because that's what we like to do. Share stories, bullshit, do whatever you want. Sorry about the French there. Um, but make sure you're having fun and you're sharing your life with your friends. That's a beautiful thing. So, all right, I think I'm done.
Oh, hang on, Ben.
Yes. Hey, Steve.
I just want to say this about you. I've known you for a while. You haven't been too active in 0 and 30 for about maybe less than 5 years.
Yeah, that's right.
You don't collect, okay? People who are thinking, well, he probably collects, you rescue. And we call rescuing.
True.
Is a term that we like to use here. We don't know what would happen to that layout had you not purchased it. It was a fantastic layout. It probably would have gone in a different section somewhere, could have been destroyed, and
Yeah.
like that. You also do a lot of work at the meets, setups and things like that. So you're active in that part of model railroading also,
Right.
helping to put on the events. I just think that the way you are taking and learning new techniques, enhancing, when you go to your meets, you'll sit down at the tables with, for a term, more advanced modelers,
Sure.
and try to learn all of their techniques and then bring them back and put them on your layouts, your displays to enhance them. And your the way you project the names of the people. You know, I've given you a couple of the names. You know, we really, some of them we could say here, but a lot of them are just jokes between us. You know, I just want to say that you are bringing a different aspect to model railroading. You're in it to have fun, and that is the name of the game here. Okay, and I want to thank you for all the rescuing you've done, and I'm probably going to give you some of my stuff too.
We're ready anytime.
Okay.
All right. Thank you, Steve. All right.
Ben has become a very accomplished modeler as well. He won the Al Judy Award at the Harrisburg meet this past June, was it? Roughly?
Yeah, June. Yep.
June. So and you have more than one layout. I was astounded by the number of layouts in your basement. He's being modest here. He has at least 3 or 4 layouts.
Yeah,
around.
don't tell mom.
His wife was infuriated with me. She kept looking at her watch and trying to get me out of there, but there was just too much to see.
Yeah. And by the way, anybody, that's another thing that's great. We don't always have to just meet each other at the meets or the shows. Come on by. If you're in the Atlanta area, who was it? Hank Primus, you're in Decatur. You're just up the road, right? I'm in College Park on the south side of Atlanta. But if you're cruising through Atlanta on I-75 or I-85, you want to, drop an hour or two, come on over. I am not far from the highway. Love to see you. We can share stories. If it's an evening, we'll drink beer or something like that. There we go. Hey, Hank.
Oh, yeah, we got lots of stories.
Yeah, exactly. And so again, that's what makes it so much fun, is just sharing with our friends and getting to spend time together, meeting new friends. I continue to learn every time. So there's always that going on too. So yeah.
Well, thank you, Ben. I really appreciate you being on the show this evening. And
my pleasure.
Terrific scenes, really nice. You could spend, like, you do the same thing I do. You could just look at a scene and just look at a scene and look at a scene
Right.
and get lost there. And that's the beauty of the hobby.
Yep.
Okay, thank you. Next, we have Santa Clarita products, the handy holder from Greg Tomey. Before we do that, we're going to run the New Tracks Digital December holiday issue.
Get more New Tracks modeling by reading the New Tracks Modeler magazine. Each edition of New Tracks Modeler includes exciting articles about modeling shown on the show, other modeling topics, and prototypical railroading information. Other articles focus on outstanding model railroaders and new products from a range of suppliers. Don't miss the photos of the popular New Tracks MyBuild. You can download New Tracks Modeler for free from the New Tracks Modeling website. Subscribe so you don't miss an issue.
The 6th issue of the New Tracks Modeler digital magazine will be out December 1st. It's about 75% complete, and I think you're going to like it. Well, next, as I indicated, we'd like to have a little product showcase from Santa Clarita Products. The handy holders, Greg Tomey. Welcome to the show, Greg. There we are. How are you?
Hang on 1 second. You disappeared all of a sudden.
Well, we're going to run your slides, right?
Yeah, Greg, you're on. Just go ahead and go for it.
Okay, I can't see the presentation. Hang on 1 second. All right. Okay, hey guys. Thank you for inviting me tonight. I will. This is just a. Can you hear me?
Yep.
Okay, this will just be a pretty short presentation. So I'm in a different ballpark than you guys. I'm been modeling for about 30 years now, but I could just sit and watch a train go in a loop and enjoy it, or I could go to a highly detailed layout or a club meeting and enjoyed that also. So I'm just getting into weathering now, and my wife builds we're into N scale and G scale mostly, but my wife does buildings from kits, and she's amazing at weathering and doing shingles. And N scale is a completely different deal because it's so tiny. Everything is with tweezers and magnifying glasses, and I don't know why I got into N scale at this late stage of my life, but I did, and I joined a large club called Belmont Shores. It's in San Pedro, California, and I'm there 2 days a week. I go on Saturdays and I run, and I'm there on Tuesday nights for track work and meetings and so forth. So we love N scale, but we also like all the different scales. So my story is that back in about 1995, I got into the packaging business, and I own a packaging company, and I make lots of different packaging. I do foam products for the military. I do stand-up displays that you might see at a movie theater for the new movies coming out. Anything that's in cardboard or chipboard or foam, anything that has to do with packaging. All your wife's cosmetics. We could do anything from a toothpaste box to a high-end cosmetic box to just a brown box. So what I've done is my manufacturers, I have many, many manufacturers that were brokers. So I have many manufacturers that make my products. So I come up with different products that my manufacturers can make for me. And I've already got terms with them and whatever else. And so we'll come up with a CAD drawing of whatever we want to produce. And so I've come up with different products for the train industry since 1995, basically. I know it says 99, but I started in the packaging business in 95. And by 1999, I was a big G scaler, and I had about 500 feet of track, and it ran from my front yard to my backyard. And we came up with a G scale handy holder that's 22 inches long, and it holds most G scale engines. Some of them are longer than that and they hang off. And I would order 1,000 at a time, and we would put a wood base on them and rubber feet. And I would go to all the train shows in California, and we would do about 6 or 7 a year. And I advertised in Garden Railway magazine. We paid for an ad, a little tiny black and white ad, and we just grew and grew. And then now we have the 4 main sizes. We have N scale, HO, O, and G. And the larger ones, the O and the G scales, have a wood base, as you can see in the picture there, with rubber feet. And that way you can, especially G scale, you can put your locomotive in there on your workbench and carry it out to the yard and actually set it down next to the track and before you put it on the track. And a lot of people use the O scale for the same thing, because as you know that O scale is becoming bigger and bigger outdoors, as well. So we do have the different products. You can go ahead and go to the next slide, if you will. So we have a lot of people now with the, with Rail Pro and the different dead rail products now that use our handy holders, as we call them, for installing electronics. You can go to the next. So the picture there doesn't have any kind of cloth over the foam, or we suggest that you put a poly bag or something over it. In fact, we supply a 3 mil poly bag that it comes in, and we suggest that you just open it carefully and reuse it over and over so you don't get chemicals or paint on the foam itself. And so you can use it in different ways. You can either turn your locomotive upside down, or you can put it at a slant, as you can see right here, for airbrushing or for weathering. As you can see, that's our O Pro. That's 18 inches long. So you can use it for different things. Can you go ahead and go to the next one? There's our wood base, and that's a 1/2 inch maple base. with the rubber feet, and everything is made here in the United States. And I have the foam wire cut or sometimes water jet cut, and then I'll order 1,000 at a time and then bring them home. And then we actually, in my garage, we mount the bases on the bottom, put the feet on, and package them. So that's the O. Go ahead and go to the next slide. There's a few dimensions, just so you can see, you know, people use them for O and 3, people use them for O scale, you know, in different sizes. You can go ahead and go to the next one. There's our G. That's 21 inches long. It's quite large. And that is an SD70 engine, as you can tell. And that engine is 25 inches long. So that's getting up there, as long as you don't have a tender, you know, steam engine with a tender on it. And what people will do is that they want to work on both an engine and a tender. They'll buy 2 of them and put them end to end. And then that way they can, if they've got a cable that goes between the tender and the engine, they can work on both of them at the same time. But quite a few people will have 2 of them on their workbench. You can go ahead and go to the next slide. Go ahead and next slide. This is our HO. This is brand new. This is our brand new contour that just came out about 2 months ago. The old one that I've been making for 26 years didn't have that back slanted channel on it. And that channel, you can go to the next slide, is for detailing. So once again, you would put a cloth on it or a poly bag or something over it to cover it. But that is a 70 degree or 30 degree channel, angled channel that you can do weathering and airbrushing with. You can go to the next one. The next one. So at our club, we've got quite a few guys. Our club is one of the largest N-scale clubs in on the West Coast. It's 100 by 40 feet, and it's every town from Bakersfield, California to San Pedro, California in the 1950s and before. It's very impressive. It takes almost an hour for the locomotive, for your train to go around the track at scale speed. It takes about just less than an hour. So you can imagine how much track that is, how big it is. And it's all the industries that were in 1950s in that area. And we're building a new harbor right now for San Pedro Harbor, and everything's being 3D printed with electric cranes. And you can imagine at an N scale, it can be very impressive. Next slide, please. Next slide, please. That's it. That's our 4 products that we carry. They're available at santaclarita.com. And there is a discount code down there in the bottom that's you guys can use anytime you want. And that's it. I appreciate you letting me on.
Thank you, Greg. Are there any questions for Greg?
Yeah, hi, Greg. This is Greg.
Hi, Greg.
How long will the discount code be going for? Through Christmas?
No, I'll leave. You guys can use that forever.
Oh, well, thank you very much.
Absolutely, absolutely.
That's fantastic. I build in a couple different scales, so I'll have to pick and choose, I guess.
It really is a great product. I did a product review last month, the Nutrax modeler for Greg, and I used it myself on one of my ON30 locomotives. I mean, it just so superior to a pile of rags or foam blocks that move around, and just it really protects the locomotive, and you know, it's a very, as the word, very handy. So,
Thank you.
So Tom, I have a question. What did you use, the HO one for the ON30?
yeah, he gave me the HO one. Yeah.
So that works better than the O1.
The O is too large. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Can you put more holes in the foam for tools?
The smaller ones, the HO and the N scale, they have 2 holes, and then the O and the G have 3 holes.
Suppose you want to order, 10 holes in one.
No.
No.
We have a jig that's that my foam manufacturer has created, and for the water jet, and so the jig's already set up to, that was not a cheap jig, and that's how we make them all exactly the same.
With a very sharp X-Acto type knife and patience, you could cut your own holes in there, but you just you don't want to butcher it up. But
you could just take your soldering iron and just melt a hole.
Yeah, have a fire extinguisher. No. I burned my house down. Any other questions for Greg? Oh, it's a great product. Great to have you on the show, and thank you for being a new advertiser for us and support. We appreciate it. And I assume the ad's working in New Track Modeler Digital Magazine.
Oh, it's fantastic. I advertised for years in Garden Railway, and it's before the internet. And I don't know what I got from that. You would never know. But what I do is I use the product code for different places that I'm advertising. So they all have a different product code. So I know where the orders are coming from. So that has worked out really well. So anytime I give like an influencer a unit to do a spread on or a video, I give him his own product code, discount code for his viewers. And that way I know where the orders are coming from.
Well, I'm glad it's working.
Thank you. Thank you very much, guys.
Okay, thank you. Okay, well, next up we have Kurt Thompson, part 2 of 2, building a prototype scene in the Norfolk, Portsmouth area. Before we have him on, we're going to run our New Tracks donation video. Just hang on there, Kurt.
Do you enjoy New Tracks modeling? You can help support New Tracks in many ways, but donating to support the show and other activities is really appreciated. This helps pay for the expenses of producing the show, including Zoom, website, and emailing costs. You can support New Tracks financially in 3 ways. First, you can make direct contributions through Patreon. With Patreon, you can make a single or monthly contribution to New Tracks. You can also contribute through YouTube by using super stickers and super chats to donate. Finally, when you watch a YouTube replay, letting the ads run will increase the payout to New Tracks. Thank you for supporting New Tracks modeling.
Thank you for running that video. Kurt, welcome back to the show. And I see you've got the historic photo in the background again. That's a wonderful photo. And the molasses tank there I see, and the freight yard and the old naval yards. Just what year is that before we start your show?
Well, because it's got the GE 44 tonner in it, it's got to be probably the late 40s.
There we go, post World War II.
Right.
Well, welcome back. Part 2 we're going to feature some of the modeling this evening. Is that correct?
Well, more well, yes, the modeling and the prep work to build the model.
Right. If we could run his slide program, there we go.
So part 2, picking up, last week we talked about the facility itself as it was. And this week we're going to talk about where I am in the middle of my build with various things going on regarding the layout. So as you can see in these photos, lots of switch templates, and I spent a lot of time sliding them around the layout, the Homoset board, to try and get the configuration right. like everything else, this was not an overnight project. This went through several iterations, especially as I studied the pictures, the prototype pictures more, and also enlisted the help of some of my local modelers. So it eventually congealed, but there was a lot of iterations bouncing around. And if we move to the next slide, you'll see what the basic end result track plan is. And this is looking, the left-hand photo would be looking west. As you can see, sort of my little molasses tank over there. And then the right-hand side would be the east end of the yard, which, you know, and that's taken from the same position in both photos. Next. Speaking of the molasses tank, I had to do a mock-up for it. And as I said last week, everything's got pretty much a compression reduction ratio on it. The molasses tank scaled from the photos would be 16 inches in diameter if I build it to scale. This tank that will build is going to be a 75% model of it. So those styrofoam plates are floral plates from Michaels. And fortunately for me, they had some that were in 12-inch diameter. I'm sure the manufacturer has 16-inch ones, but I didn't bother to look, and Michaels carried 12. So the tank will be dimensionally 75% of the original. But there it is. Next. And what you're looking at is under the substructure for the Southgate Terminal Warehouse. That is a lot of gator board. I was going to try and use Andrew Dodge's plexiglass interior substructure, but I don't have the tools. I don't have a workshop like Andrew does. So I ended up doing this with all the lateral bracing, front to back and side to side. And as I say, with gator board, what do you use? You got to use Gorilla Glue if you're using gator board. Next. The car float was also, as I said last week, the car float number 5, which I'm modeling, was 370 feet in real life. In O scale, that scales out to 48, 50, 7.5 or 8 feet in length if I build it to scale. I did also subtract this, but because it's at an angle to the wall, you'll see the 2 pieces of masonite are cut at an angle so that they fit to the wall. It's made of 2 pieces of 1/8-inch masonite that are epoxied together. And then on top of that, I have a 40 thousandths piece of styrene that I cut to fit so that I have a steel deck. Basically, the styrene is the steel deck. The blueprint is something that I had printed or actually scaled up from the diagram from Mainline Modeler, which had an article on car float number 5. When I had it printed out, it was 8 feet long. The people at Office Depot pretty much thought I was crazy, but hey, I'm used to that. So next. What you see in the left picture is the styrene deck with a lot of locator marking lines. On car float 5, the rails are on what are called rail chairs, and they are at 2-foot intervals. So there are a lot of rail chairs for 8. There are 4 tracks, 8 rails across the barge. A friend of mine, I drew them up in 3D in whatever, FreeCAD. And you can see in the right photo, that is 15 of those rail chairs on a single print. My friend Jeff Mutter here in this Ferna Park, Annapolis area printed them for me. Kind of above and beyond the call of duty, he printed 840 of them for me. And I used almost all of them to weld the rails to the barge. And to do that, I threaded the rail. As you can see, the rail chairs in the right photo are already on the rail. And the only way to do it effectively was to thread them onto the 3-foot length of rail and then position them. Because if I had tried to put these on the barge and weld them in line, I would have never gotten them engaged. So next slide, please. And as I said before, I am doing this in Proto 48. And in the left photo, you see the two T gauges for Proto 48. And if you look around there, you can see at every strike line across the barge, you will see rail chairs. And the welding, of course, was, CA on styrene. And the right-hand photo shows the Atlas 55-ton hopper that with Proto 48 wheels that I used to test the rails to make sure they were engaged. And like all good modelers, I had to unweld several. There was a tight gauge in that first set of rails, and the hopper wanted to float up off of the at the gauge where it was too narrow. So I had to use a flat X-Acto chisel blade to pull up about 10 of them and then re-gauge it. The middle photo is the apron with the two of the switches, and that's going to be on that's going to be hand laid again using the same rail chairs and some additional switch components, because the apron was where the switches were. There was no point or frog on the barge itself, although there were massive guarding rails, as you saw in last week's photo. Next. And this is the barge after I got all the rails on. And you can see the prototype, could handle 28 to 32 cars. My barge will not handle quite that. I'll be lucky to get between 16 and 18, depending on the number of 34-foot hoppers I've got on there. Next. When obviously Brook Avenue went by the wayside, or progress happened in 1982, it was shut down. These two photos were taken on a trip that I went with a friend of mine, August of 2004, to the Norfolk area and Brook Avenue. And you can see, if you remember, one of the buildings we talked about was the Ocean Terminal warehouse. And the left-hand photo is the Ocean Terminal condominiums. And so those were the first building in the area that was revamped. The right-hand photo is where the 4-track yard was beside the freight house. And the condominiums along the right-hand side, the brown 5-story ones, that's where the original white freight house was located. And the pagoda-looking thing in the background is what Norfolk City calls the Peace Pagoda. And it is basically the bottom of if you remember the molasses tank construction and deconstruction photos, you saw those 18-inch square legs, all 8 of them. And they basically had some architect firm decide to build a pagoda on 8 sides using those legs. So this is the way it looks now. Not a shred of semblance that there was a rail yard here. And it brings me to the next and final photo. I want to share a little bit about Roger Sequeira, who's my fellow modeler. He did Brook Avenue in HO, and he had his HO layout was half the width of mine and the same length as mine. So he was far closer to doing a prototype, having a prototypical model than mine. There was no compression in his. Unfortunately for a lot of us, Roger passed of a heart attack earlier this year. And I'm very saddened by his loss because, as he said, we were the subject matter experts for Brook Avenue. And whenever either one of us would find something, there would be emails with attachments blasting out, look what I found, or hey, did you know this, and all that. And for me, Roger will always be sitting in front of the molasses tank, or in memory of the Peace Pagoda where I took this photo. And that pretty much brings me to the end of the modeling part. Quick bibliographies. This probably wouldn't have ever started if Bernie Kopinski hadn't written the layout design element article for Model Railroad Planning 2002 edition. I blame Bernie. He understands I blame him, and he accepts it very well, the blame. Some of the other photos I found were on the Norfolk Historical Society website. It's amazing when a city does urban renewal, how many photos they take of what they're destroying or removing for the urban renewal projects. A couple of the photos that I had earlier on in last week's episode were on the plaque at the Peace Pagoda. It had this is what this was before we made this cute and interesting little pagoda out of it. And one of them was the photo showing the Lehigh Valley single sheath boxcar underneath the molasses tank, some of the very early photos. And the rest, or the bulk of the stuff that I have and what I've used for information, came out of the CNO Historical Archives, of which I am a member of the Historical Society. And so never forget to scour anything. Google is our friend, and so is the interweb. So that's all I've got on the modeling part. I'm looking forward to retirement in January when I can start doing an hour a day work in the train layout room, and bring some of these mock-ups to fruition and get the tracks laid.
Excellent presentation, Kurt. Very educational, and it's always neat to see a car barge model. They're the only time I ever see them are in the magazines. It's nice to know there's somebody actually doing that again. That's terrific. And that's a fascinating area for railroading. Having spent some time there with my son, who was in the Navy like yourself, or is in the Navy. You are, he is. How's that? Yeah. So
I was, he is, yes.
yes, right.
Pronouns in the
Yeah. So
proper tense.
did you pick up anything that you didn't know while you were researching this?
Well, I picked up a lot of things, and the first was a small bit of remorse, because when I was in the Navy, I was in Norfolk waiting to be, it was what they call program school input. They send you to a ship to kind of put you in holding status until your class seats opens up. And I was in Norfolk in January, February, March, and part of April of 1980, and I had no idea that the CNO had this facility. I could have gotten to see it in its final days, but
Yeah, well, that's a story that we all share. That
yeah,
that
it's not the only one. It's not the only story, but
yeah.
finding this is kind of like what I missed a little bit. But when you think Norfolk, you don't think CNO.
Well, it sounds like you're going to be looking forward to retirement, and always remember, work is overrated.
Well, work will have allowed me to get to this point, so rated enough.
Just a little humor there.
Yep.
Thank you again for your presentation, and we look forward to your modeling at some point. Yeah, additional
Yep.
modeling. Yeah.
Thank
Okay,
you.
next up we have the MyBuild. It's a free for all with Chris Coarse, longtime supporter of the show, longtime charge of the MyBuild segment. His sponsor is O-Scale Resource.
Welcome to the world of scale, O and S railroading. We are your resource for all O and S scale modeling. Both our magazines are advertiser supported and free to read online, download as a PDF, or even print. All advertisers are hot linked to their website, so if you see something you like, just click. Please check out our websites for the current issues. All back issues available free for the O-Scale Resource and the S-Scale Resource magazines. And, if you are a manufacturer, distributor, or retail establishment, please contact us through our website for advertising opportunities.
I want to point out that the guy behind O-Scale Resource is Dan Dowdy and his wife. And they're a supporter indirectly of our magazine, New Tracks Modeler Digital Magazine. Dan is kind enough to send our magazine out to his enormous database. So between the two databases, ours and his, we approached approximately 10,000 subscribers. So his magazine is free as well, so check that out. He has a full page ad in each one of our New Track Modeler digital magazines. You can pick it up there. The S-Scale magazine is no longer in publication. So at some point, hopefully, we'll have Dan update his video. So next, Mr. Chris Coarse, welcome to the show, old friend.
Oh, thanks, Tom. Hello, everyone. Tonight's a free for all. And let's see if we get the slideshow running here. All right, looks like that's going to work. Okay, there we go. You'll see it here in a second. Come on. All right, welcome everyone. Tonight's free for all. We've got a bunch of modelers tonight. This is probably going to be a long one, actually. So thanks in advance to everybody that participated. First up is Greg. How you doing tonight, Greg?
Hi, Chris. Ready to go.
All right.
So this started out by going to the Mideastern Region Convention of the NMRA last month, which was up in King of Prussia, Pennsylvania. And one of the events I had signed up for was a hands-on clinic about building a section house from Jack Zodel and Ipswich Hobbies. I had already built the O-Scale one, so I was happy to sign up for this, and I selected the HO scale one this time. Next. But there was a little bit of a hiccup in the registration, and they had me signed up for something else. So I didn't get the email saying to bring your own tools and supplies, which I should have known, but I didn't. And so I showed up there empty-handed while everybody else had their toolboxes with them. But fortunately, Jack had prepared for that, and he had some extra tools and some stain and stuff. And I sat next to a friend who had some glue I could borrow. So that gave me enough to at least work on something. Next slide. So with just using an X-Acto knife, glue, and some stain, this is what I ended up coming up with. And this is what I brought home from the convention. And I said, well, it's good enough to start with, and I'll finish everything up when I get home. So I was actually quite pleased that I didn't come home with everything still in the box. Next. So once I was at my workbench and I was able to finish everything up, this is how it comes out. And I love this little kit. It's so customizable. You can make almost anything you want out of it. And it's a nice little structure. It's based on an actual section house that was up in Ipswich. And it's just a fun kit to build. Next one. And this is it from the other side. And remember, a lot of this was built with just an X-Acto knife and stain. And it was only the windows, the roofing, the joists and stuff that I was able to finish up when I got home. So next slide. And this is it sitting next to its big brother that I had already built. And like I said, you can customize this. The previous one I had actually built as an old-time garage and put an interior in it, and it's got an old 1917 Renault in there that somebody's working on. But they're just a great kit, and I was really happy to go to the clinic and happy that I came home with something that I could be happy with. Next. And this shows the two of them side by side. Like I said, I did a couple minor modifications, but when you look at what you're starting with, you could make almost anything you wanted out of this. You could make it into a store, you could make it into a warehouse, you could make it into a workshop, anything that you wanted. Next. And I also wanted to mention the clinic that I had accidentally signed up for was Chris Coarse's clinic, which was up there, which was building a repurposed 24-foot boxcar. So I picked up one of those kits and I brought it home. And I finished it now, and you'll be seeing it on the next free-for-all MyBuild, which is in 2 months. If you want to see it sooner, you can go to my YouTube channel. It's up there. And I guess that's it, Chris?
Yep, I think that's it, Greg.
Uh-huh.
It's funny, I think actually Jack had us do the same kit a few years ago as part of a build-along.
He did. That's when I built the O-scale one.
Yeah, I've got mine right here. That's why I just got up. It's like, oh, still haven't finished it, but one of these days. All right. The thing that caught my eye was the smoke jack that's on there.
Yes. And I'll tell you, that's one of the benefits of doing one of these hands-on clinic with the model creator, because he told us, I didn't know that smoke jack, there was actually a fan in the box underneath the pipe that would create the draft that went up through the smoke jack.
Oh.
I just always thought that was just a base, and there wasn't anything to it.
Was that a cast piece? Because I was looking at my kit, I don't see it.
I believe it was 3D printed, and
okay.
I don't remember if it was in the one a couple of years ago when I built the O-scale one, but I did a different chimney then.
Yeah, Greg, they all of those were 3D prints in HO and N scale.
Oh, okay.
Okay, thanks, Jack.
Yeah, when I was looking through these slides, that smoke jack really caught my my eye. I was like, that's pretty cool. But anyway, are there any questions for Greg? Thanks for stopping by, Jack, by the way. Is there anything you want to throw in, Jack?
Oh, no, I'm just thrilled that you guys are keeping this going. And Bill Davis is on tonight, and I saw him earlier.
Yep.
And,
I was just going to say, I built the same structure, and I added interior framing inside of it and everything else.
Yeah, and Bill had his review in the old O-scale magazine.
Right. Yep. I never finished the interior, though. I need to finish with the interior. That's a very cool idea, making it into a repair shop. I hadn't thought about that. That's very cool and stuff. So well done, Greg.
Very nice.
Thank you, Chris.
Yeah, well, thanks. Thank Greg and Jack for showing up last month after the after that NMRA convention there.
Mm-hmm. It was great to see you then, Chris.
Yep. Hey, does anybody have any questions for Greg before we move on? All right, I guess that's it. So we will move on. Next up is Phil at home. You up, Phil?
I am here. Go for it. So this is a Banta kit. It was a West Side lumber water tank I bought it, I think, at the narrow gauge convention a couple of years ago from Bill at the convention. I decided I wanted to make it not a lumber for a lumber tank, but rather something more of a yard. So I went ahead and replaced the base on it was originally wood. I 3D printed the piers for the posts that support it. But you can go ahead and jump forward. Jump one forward. So it's a really nice kit. It's a typical bandit kit. The one thing I found with this kit was the sides of the water tank are a wrapper. They're not individual boards. It works fine when you get it together. The challenge I came to was the way the framing is built for the tank is 3 discs that are laser cut with X pieces that connect them together. And it turns out when you look at the line, the vertical line between the 3 discs and the pieces in between, there's nowhere where there's a continuous connection the whole way across. And the first time I did this, I had a real problem with trying to get it linked up and have it look good. I couldn't get the glue to really stick because you were just gluing to the edge of a very thin cut piece of laser cut plywood on those 3 discs. So what I ended up doing with this was I 3D printed little corners. Think about them like little pieces of pie that fit in, and I glued them into those frames. Those frames. So I had a nice solid area to glue the wrapper into. So did the wrapper, wrapped it up with some rubber bands, got it nicely tied. I pre-stained it, but didn't do any weathering, and then put it in. The other thing I found was they sell 4-inch hand crank clamps. They're basically hose clamps on Amazon. And I bought a bundle. I think I got 6 or 8 of them for $6 or $8. So by the way, if anybody decides to build a model like this, you can give me a call and I'll send you a couple. And those actually did really good for clamping it together. You can go ahead and continue. Just go ahead and jump through the slides. Talk a little more about the build. The tank was stained separate from everything else and did all the staining. I used some pictures of the tank at Roaring Camp, which is a tourist railroad south of here, to try to stain it to match the staining I saw there. And then after I got the tank stained to the way I wanted the tank, I went ahead and put the bands on and then did a little bit more coloring of the bands to represent some calcium, etc. You can go ahead and jump to the next slide. And so you kind of see very nice detail. All the parts on this came from Bill. He gives you great, very good jigs. They're actually laser cut cardboard jigs you glue together to put together all of the underframing. And the ladders actually have jigs to put them together as well. So all in all, I thought it was a very easy, reasonably easy to build kit. And I think it came out pretty nice. You can go ahead and jump to the next slide. I can't remember exactly where they end.
Yeah, I think there's one after this one.
Okay, yeah, I just took a few pictures of it and kind of how it sits. It sits in a little. This is my Moss Landing, which has a station that actually was a station that could be moved by flat car, and it sits next to that. I still need to build some sort of a little pump station and have a pipe to fill it. I haven't done that yet. So, and I need to fill in the dirt around the feet there. I haven't done that. If you notice, one of the feet is not quite connected down to the ground. So that's it, I think.
Yep, that was
any
it.
questions,
Cool.
Comments?
I'll drop off. Yeah, Phil, how did you do the weathering right there at the spout? Because that's really nice.
Most of it was done with a combination of pan pastels and then some chalk.
Okay.
So the wood was mainly done with pan pastels, and then after I put the bands on, the bands were done where they're basically fishing line, and you cut them and you paint them. I've got some pictures. I could go through a bit more of Bill, but what I do is I hit those with clamps, painted them all black, did the weathering, the rusting, and then did them with clear coat. And then after they were put on, used a little bit of chalk there to try and get those white lines. And I noticed one of them needs to move a little bit. I noticed after I took this picture, I needed to line them up a little bit more, but basically that was the way it was done.
Nice job.
Beautiful.
Cool.
Any more questions for Phil? Comments, concerns? Hope there's no concerns, but anyway, in case there are. All right. Well, thanks, Phil. And we will move on to David Landels. And he asked that I present this tonight for you. It's a presentation he's given on several occasions, I think. And so here we go. And my biggest challenge for the night was trying to figure out how to pronounce this. I think it's Wapusik, Northern Wapusik Railway. And basically it's based on an area where he lives. It's fictional, and it basically what he did. Looks like he used a lot of evergreen styrene to build what you're about to see here, and that you're seeing his work site there, and he did an office for his railroad, and that's the headquarters of it. You see the full interior there. Moving on, you see, I believe this is HO scale, if I remember right. He told me, but I didn't write it down. So there you see a little bit more of the interior of the headquarters building itself, and there's a completed, excuse me, completed headquarters building, complete with with their mascot, the polar bear, on the roof. And see some details. Got a cell phone tower, and some openings and closings. Pallets were built using coffee stirrers and looks like some strip wood. Moving on, there's some power pools with hardware that looks like he used some styrene. It looks like that might be a little bit of brass too. I'm not sure. But so part of the background on that railroad is that it contracts to Canadian Northern, performing maintenance of way work for the big railway. And it's got a lot of equipment inside, and that's his maintenance of way materials, rolling stock, etc., that he uses for that railway. There's another shot, and another one. And then there is the maintenance shed for maintaining those maintenance away vehicles. And is calling that the shop number 1, which is the Northern Wapusik shop. And shop number 2 is it's got some equipment that it houses in there. Construction is shop number 3. You see again, it's all excuse me, all styrene. And the equipment that goes in it. It's all scratch built. Looks pretty good, really good for scratch built. The layout for shop number 4, which looks like it'll be a 3-bayer. Yep. And the bones, including the roofing structures. There you've got a little bit more, some I-beams, etc. I'm sure for moving heavy equipment around from the vertical. Got your air conditioners, etc. down below there. And there's the roof coming together. And there's the roof on it, and off the side of the tracks for servicing. Now you look at from the top, you see the whole headquarters facility there. You've got the cell phone towers, you've got the utility poles all hooked up, and that's how the shop comes. That piece of the shop comes together, and there's your workshop right there, and then more of the workshop area. and a bunch of the maintenance of way vehicles. And another shot there. And I've got shop number 4 in use. You see where they're working on a Canadian Northern. Is it Canadian Northern and Canadian National? Canadian National? Anyway, so you see a switcher in the shop being worked on. All right, there's your shop number 4, Canadian National. Thank you. All right. And there is, I believe this is a module that he's got set up of the whole facility. There it is. And there's some more of it. All right. And that looks like it's about it. If anybody has any questions or comments, I'll see what I can do to answer them. Or Brian, I think he's in the chat. Maybe he can throw some comments in there. Yeah, Greg says nice work. Yep. All right, looks great. Okay. All right, if anybody doesn't have anything to throw out there, well, I guess we'll go ahead and move on to Bill Stimson. Yep, Bill.
I'm here.
All right. Oh, by the way, thanks for contributing on that last one there, guys. All right. It's up to you, Bill.
This is a 2 of swap meet orphans that I got. Actually 3. You count the Smith Brothers sign, which was Bar Mills, but there's 2 Adams, the 2 Adams Avenue number 1 and number 2 from Downtown Deco that I bought and have put together and painted up. Go to the next slide.
There we go.
There's the front of number 1, I believe, and it has a few different things on it. The Smith Brothers was a Bar Mills billboard, and I figured, what the heck, I'll stick that on top of the Downtown Deco. I really like Randy's molds. This is N scale for those who don't know that I model in N scale. So you can see the bricks and the various shapes that he's got in here, and they turn out very well. I mean, you almost can't mess this up. The signs, most of them came from the internet. Just changed, resized them and stuck them on this. Go ahead to the next one. There's a side of this one. The only problems I had was with this one, the back wasn't quite the same length as the front. So there's a little gap in the back right corner that I had to fill in with a little bit of I used spackling paste to fill in. I've seen other people use plaster or hydrocal, but I just stuck some spackling paste in there and then kind of carved some bricks into it and covered it up. I don't know if I have a picture of the back, so I kind of set the 2 of them on with a bunch of other Downtown Deco buildings that I've built over the years. Go on to the next one. Oh, and Randy actually supplied the stencil for this fast loans. That was fun to do. I've never tried to do a stencil in N scale like that. It turned out okay. And so did the little pawn shop sign that he included with this kit. This is number 2, Adams number 2. And also a whole bunch of signs off the internet to go with it. Go on to the next one. There's a little better picture of Kind of an interesting one with the stone building kind of in the middle. I'm not sure I would have included a stone building in the middle of a bunch of brick ones, but it was already there. Go on to the next one. And yeah, nothing else. Go ahead on to the next one. Oh, there's the front. The bricks I painted, and then I used a white wash to put mortar in, and that seems to do pretty well, and at least in N scale. It kind of tones down the brick color and leaves mostly some mortar visible. Go on to the next one. I don't remember how many of these I sent you. That must have been the last one.
Yep. All right. All right. Well, thanks, Bill. Anybody have any questions for Bill?
Yeah, Bill, you're right about Randy's castings. I've done a couple of his kits, and to be able to get mortar showing an N scale, that really shows, the level of his castings. That the grout lines are wide enough and deep enough that you can get that to work, and it came out really looking good.
Yeah, it's amazing. I mean, this is probably the eighth or ninth of his kits I've built, and they all turn out really well.
I guess his thinking is the stone building was there from long ago and they built around it, maybe.
Who knows? Maybe.
Yeah. It looks good.
Yeah, around here to be a facade. I know I've got, well, in the front of the house, it's we had some I think they're calling them veneer, but they're basically concrete blocks that they use to make the stone on the front of the house here. So maybe that's the same thing.
I was just going to say, yeah, I was just going to say that, but Greg beat me to the punch. Really, both on. I like it. I love those kind of castings. That's where the little streets in. I like this. Is that where you have it laid out, or it's just on your workbench?
It's just on my workbench at this point. It's
Okay.
about 5 inches long, Phil.
Now, later, do you have a home picked out for it?
Not yet.
Okay, well, we'd like to see it. So, very well done. Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Great. Any more questions for Bill? All right. Well, thanks, Bill. Now we'll move on to Brian Teal. Saw you up earlier, Brian. You here?
Yeah, I'm here. Can you hear me?
All right. Yep. You ready?
Yeah, don't have any particular speech set up. I didn't get around to writing anything, but
Come on. You don't have the Declaration of Independence written?
No, too busy with work, unfortunately. But this is the How Trust Bridge kit from Junko Scale Models. That it's a kit, but I like to kind of say it's sort of scratch built because I was the one who helped manufacture those kits.
Oh, cool.
Because my dad was the owner of the company, so I cut all the wood and I cut all the wires and did the castings with him. And while we were packing up ones for the shop, he let me put one aside for me.
Nice.
So the advantage of being at the company is the main beams that run across the bottom and top are two pieces in the kits, but I was able to do it full length because I didn't have to fit it in a box. So it didn't have to explain away a joint in the middle. But it was a few evenings work sitting down and getting all the pieces out and where it's supposed to be.
Yeah, I've seen Juneco kits over the years, but I never really got a chance to see what's inside of them or
Yeah.
see what they look like built up. So
Yeah.
this is a great opportunity.
And I don't know how many of them made it south of the border because it was, Inner Hobbies was a Canadian, and Junco was Canadian. But yeah, I mean, I'm a little biased, but I've built several of the kits, and Dad did a great job designing them and making. We always were very careful about cutting, so the pieces, what was already pre-cut for you was already was pretty good shape.
Nice.
But,
is the castings, the casting you see in the lower left corner there, are those included in it, or is that
no,
something
that
you just?
those were bridge abutments, which were also made by Junco. They were plaster castings.
Okay.
And kind of had some fun, painting up some individual colors on the blocks, but not sure if I like that too much because it kind of draws away from the bridge, in my opinion. But it's what I had handy. But my layout is in the process of being constructed, so this will go on there at some point, but not yet.
Yeah. Alrighty.
It was a lot of fun doing all those cross pieces and all the wires.
Yeah, it looked like it was is it basically a production line kind of deal, and you just kind of manufacture 24 of those or whatever, and then you assemble from there, or what?
Yeah, kind of the drawings that come with the kit give you something. Basically, put it down, taped it to. I use a piece of glass as my, a nice flat work surface. Tape the plans to that, and then put wax paper over top, so you could actually lay them out that way. But there was a lot of work with the pin vise to drill all the holes for the wires. So basically, chuck a movie that I'd seen a few times already in the DVD, and have that as background noise. I'd twist, 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 and then when my hand would get too tired, I'd do something else. And
yeah, it came out fantastic.
Thank you.
So you've got wow, I didn't notice that ladder before. Wow, that was that takes quite a bit of talent just to get that part right. Holy mackerel.
Yeah, that was tweezers, patience, and because it's an HO scale model. I don't know if I mentioned that. Okay. And occasionally trying to rethink my decisions up to that point in my life. But my dad, his modeling was, amazing. Just not just from my perspective, but from what others have seen and said over the years. That he set a very high standard for me to follow.
Came out very nicely. It's an incredible job.
Thank you.
And I think this might be the last photo. Yep. Okay. All right. Does anybody have any questions for Brian? Or comments?
Sniper marks.
What did you use to stain the wood?
India ink wash with alcohol. I find it gives a nice color.
Brian, all of what look like little metal castings that the wires went to support it, in the kit, are they metal, plastic, or something else?
They're white metal.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, because this was all done well before 3D printing became a commonplace. So yeah, all the castings, they're all white metal.
Wow, it came out beautiful.
Yeah, all the channel ones basically sit flat on there. There's a little pin underneath to to kind of give it a little more tooth to hold it in place. All the rivets on the side are single pieces that you drill holes, and they were 1/8 of an inch maybe long that you had to drill the holes and put each one in.
Wow.
Well, if I see one of these at a show, looks like fun.
Well, it's the Junko is no longer being manufactured, so anything you find is a collector's item now.
Yeah, I think I've seen
I
some
was
around.
building I was building Junko kits 42 years ago.
Yeah.
Wood box cars, flat cars, gondolas, beautiful stuff.
Did you ever do the Carterville station?
I never did, no.
No? Okay. Yeah, no, it's definitely definitely was a long running business, but unfortunately Dad passed away in June this year, for anybody who knew him. And I don't have the time, and two, I was only just starting to learn all the intricacies of producing these kits, and so it's gone with him.
Hmm. How long did it take you to do this kit?
I don't usually keep track of my hours because, like I said, I'd work on it a little bit, and then when if I got tired of drilling holes, I'd go paint some figures or stuff like that. And but I would probably say got about a dozen hours in there maybe.
Okay.
It's like once you got everything kind of stained and ready to go, and it was just a matter of sitting down and piece after piece after piece and clamping it as you went along. So but yeah, it was mostly I did it over several evenings.
Yeah, this is fantastic work.
Thank you.
So yeah, I think think you're right, Greg. We'll have to see if we can find some of these kits.
Yeah, they're still out there. I find them I rescue them occasionally from people who've decided they don't want to build them they've gotten partway on it and they've given up, so they're at a train show with they're getting rid of their stuff and pick it up for a few bucks. And
yeah. All right. Well, this is incredible. Thanks for sharing.
Yeah, thanks for letting me.
Anybody have any questions for Brian? All right. Well, thanks again, Brian, and we will move on. If I can find the right cursor there. There we go. Craig, are you up?
I am now. Yep.
Okay. All righty. So let's see here. I pulled the photos out of the Word document you sent me. So hopefully they're in they should be in the right order.
Beauty. Thanks, Chris.
Yep.
This really is just a little prototype structure to hide a trackside switch motor. I've got a Helix. I kind of like Helixes, but they do consume a fair bit of space, and it's wasted if you don't make use of the top of a Helix. So I decided on this layout that I'd create a quarry scene, which is why you don't see my ugly dial, and you actually can see the quarry up in the picture. And the line that feeds that quarry is actually an extension of the Helix. The Helix leads to the branch terminus, or at least the branch terminus diverges off the Helix. But I couldn't put an under track switch motor in because it would interfere with vehicles on the Helix. So and accessing an under track motor there would be, you really would need to be not much bigger than a worm, I think. So I had to go for using a trackside point motor, and the neatest of a trackside point motors is the Pico version. It's not exactly prototypical. So I decided I had to find a way to hide it, and it's too close to the track to hide under a building. And I came across this photo of a what are called halts on New South Wales Railways branch lines. They're actually a flag stop where people could flag down a train by prior arrangement. So that was the inspiration for the little model that I created. That little halt, the whole line closed in 1975. Obviously, it hadn't been used for a while because that photo was taken in 1975 as well. So next photo, please. This is the Holt parked over the point motor. And what we're doing is looking up the line towards the branch terminus straight ahead, and the quarry line curving off to the right there. The branch gradient is 1 in 55, which is the gradient on the helix, and the quarry gradient is 1 in 50 to get it up and above the helix, slightly higher, so that I could level out at the quarry, so I didn't have wagons rolling back down the hill. Next slide. And here we are looking along the quarry line back towards the Holt. Next. And here is the Holt sitting over the top of the Pico trackside motor. And it's really just the construction of it. I designed it, so next photo. I designed it so that the ramp and the deck could be removed from the frame and posts if I ever needed to access the point motor to repair it or replace it. Got to say, in 25 odd years of using these things, I've never actually had one fail. Famous last words, I guess. Next photo. And there it is with the deck fully removed and just showing the bearers and posts that are fixed in place. Next. And there's the sort of, we see the clearance between the motor and the frame that holds the whole lot, and how close the motor is to the track. Next. So it's scratch built it's got a balsa under frame and then scale lumber on top. The actual rectangular piece of balsa there slots snugly into the fixed frame on the layout. And as you saw, my hand pulling it out, it comes out very neatly, sits back down very neatly. You'll notice slight shaving on the trackside edge on the left there. That's to account for the overswing of locomotives and long wagons as they come off the helix to head up to the branch. The next slide. So there it is back in place. The deck is scribed lumber sheet, and the ramp is individual board by board construction sitting on little bearers. And I think that's it.
Yep, sure is. All right, well, that's a neat way to hide your switches. So thanks for sharing. Are there any questions?
Yeah, I only had to do it for this one. So.
Oh, okay. All right. Are there any questions for Craig? All right. Well, thanks for sharing, Craig. And we'll move on. DS Yates, are you up? I see him. David Yates.
David, you'll have to unmute. I had muted you before while you were up.
How about now?
There we go.
It keeps going off for some reason. I don't know.
Yeah. Do you go by David?
Yeah, either one, David or
Okay.
Dave.
Okay. Yeah, because I just have DS and I wasn't sure what it meant or what it stood for. So, all right. So I'll know that for next time. All right. Well, let's see what I think you just sent. Oh yeah, you sent a series. So here we start out. I hope I got them in the right order. Apologize if I didn't.
Apology accepted. It's okay. No, I wanted you to start on the. I had some prototype ones. You know what? we'll just go it with the way it is. How's that?
Okay, sure.
These are some 3D printed shop parts. And you can see the work's kind of crude, but when you see, this is all in N scale. You can go to the next slide.
Oops. Hang on. Something's not right here. I think it hid your images. Let me see if I can fix this real quick. Because oh, that's weird. Tell you what, Tom, you want to you have a little bit of filler. I need to go back and throw these slides in there because they oh yeah, I've got like 10 slides I need to throw in there.
Is this the last presentation?
Yes.
Okay.
So if you got a little bit of filler, I will
Yeah, I sent Father Ron a kit, which should be arriving sometime later this week. And it's a Craftsman kit, and sometime next year we'll have Father Ron, who's an extraordinary modeler, featured on the show as a builder, and looking forward to that. And I'm pleased that we had so many MyBuilds this time. We were really wondering why we weren't getting the support that we had had in the past year, but it's really pleasing to see we had quite a number of them this time around. And we have next week's show covered, but the week after we could use some presentations. Phil, if you want to ad lib a little here.
Yeah,
But we're
Tom,
pretty well covered for next week.
Yeah, Tom, this is Phil. So I was going to do something a little different. I talked about the water tank and about the interior, and I have to see I had this. This was the first tank I built. Actually, let me turn off my background because you'll be able to see better. And I talked about how it was the challenge of putting these things together. You kind of see in there, see, that's the interior structure. And you notice when you bring these pieces together, the only thing they stick to are these 3 discs. And so what I did on the one that you saw was I 3D printed a piece, measured the diameter, 3D printed a piece that slid in there on both the upper and lower levels so that when you put this together and to glue it as a wrapper, it had a good surface to glue to. So, you know, when you get to that of building that kind of a kit, it'll kind of show you how to do it. So hopefully that was enough. Hopefully that was enough of a delay.
We're getting there.
Hey, Bob
Cool.
Davidson, didn't know that you were on the show this evening.
Yeah, I came in late. The grandson is playing hockey.
Bob, if you are game before year end, your segment on
Yeah, I've got one ready for you, Tom. So I've had it ready for a few weeks now.
okay, good. So we'll do that next week then.
Next week or week after, whatever is good for you.
Well, we'd like to do them 1 week at a time. So let's what do we want to call it? Dollar store
Workshop tips and tricks.
A workshop. Say it again.
Workshop tips and tricks.
Great. We'll have you on next week.
Sounds
It was
good.
fun. Yeah. And any others while I'm soliciting this? We'll take volunteers. Oh, we have David Malloy will be on. Someday I'm going to get that right. Maybe after a couple years.
So it's Malat.
Malat, got it. I've only known you for 2 years.
I think you've only pronounced it right one time, but
Yeah. Well, you know.
it's a common thing, so it's not a big deal. I'm
Yeah.
used to it.
So let me see what we actually. How are we doing on our slides there, Chris?
Give me just one more minute here. And let's see. Okay. So I'm ready.
Terrific.
Oops. Might help to share from the right computer. Okay. There we go. Sorry, I apologize. Let's try this one more time here. Okay, so there is your prototype photo.
Yes, I had set this whole thing up based on when it was featuring interiors. And so these are basically interiors. And my joke was I really knocked myself out with this one. And of course, it's not. Does anybody know where it is? Any guesses?
Not a clue, but it's a heck of a place.
At the train station in Nashville?
No, it's
Chicago?
Lackawanna
Really?
station at Steamtown.
Wow.
Oh, wow.
I live in Bucks County, Pennsylvania, so to go to Scranton is not too hard. And I've been to Steamtown dozens of times, usually when there's a an event. And I wanted to stay at this place, but like most hotels and everything, the price gets jacked up whenever there's a big event. But I had two things this summer to do, and they were in the middle of the week, and I thought maybe it would be okay. And it was about $110 a night. It's a wonderful place, and I think I have another slide of it. If you go, there should be two there.
Yeah,
that's not
actually,
quite it.
I didn't throw that other one in there because it looked like
Okay,
it was
it's
pretty
the
much the
same.
same
It's
photo.
the same deal.
But
Just go back one time
sure.
to the tiles that are all the way around the doors. Those are handmade tiles that were depicting what you would see on the route of the Phoebe Snow, which was from Hoboken to Buffalo. And Scranton was one of the major stops. But now we can go to what I did.
All right.
From the sublime to the ridiculous. But it's a really nice place at any rate. I wanted to do interior on, I got a whole series of the Lund Studios buildings. These are an N scale, by the way. And this is one of my favorite ones. It's primarily a hardware store, but you don't get a floor or any interior. Actually, they didn't bother sending me a roof, but the roof was easy to do. A flat roof building, and I added some chimneys, but I wanted to have interiors with the nice big windows. I thought it would lend itself to it. So you can go to the next one then. And I started with this, which were some 3D. I had all of this stuff. I haven't been buying anything. I've been using what I have after 40 years of N scale. You can go to the next slide. I painted it. There are over 100 little tiny pieces there painted. They're different, all those different items. It's on both sides too, with some of them that she can't see, but they are done. And I added some signage, and I added some figures. The figures are hard to come by that are decent in N scale. Actually, a lot of the details are somewhat lacking, but it's the price you pay for the smaller size. You can go to the next slide.
Here we go.
Which they're a little out of order, but that you can see the different ones. And then the next one, Chris. That's how it looked at the end. That's how it looks at the end. That's my third attempt at lighting. I've never done lighting before. It's also hard to photograph at night, but
Sure came out nice, so.
and I've got most of the mortar in. A picture always isolates your flaws, and I would probably work a little bit better on some of the mortar up top. But that's one of the buildings. And then I have another one. Go to the next slide. Oh, and then that's just another shot, nighttime shot. And then there's this. This one was my first attempt. That's the Parrot Lounge. Then the parrots are cigar rings, cigar bands, and I had glued one on there, and I had never bought the cigar before, but I saw that parrot, and I thought that might work in a lounge setting or something, and I glued that in. I didn't particularly like the cigar, but I had glued it too low. It looked okay this way, but when you put it behind the building, it was too low. I said, I need another one to put it where they're in flight. So I went back to the cigar store, bought a cigar I didn't like in order to get a second parrot. So I've named this thing the Parrot Lounge. And all of the people are either eating something. The ones on the left, that's an N-scale pizza. It's a little piece of index card, and there's a little dot of red, and I left a little on the off-white for the crust to go around it. And the lady in the back has some soup. I think I have another slide of the same thing.
Yep.
And that one, this is the very first building I ever did lighting on, and I had never used the Woodland Scenics Just Plug, and I had no idea how bright they can be. And so you can see that it's all busted there. And I had to break it off because it actually was glued down as a ceiling. And then the entire building was dark. And when I turned it on, I realized, I mean, you could do surgery and it was super bright, and they are adjustable with the brightness, but even turning it low, it was very, very bright. So I had to pull that up, and now it lights the whole building. That little light there, even on a low setting, will light a 4 or 5 story building. I never realized they were so powerful.
Yeah, that looks like a pretty big LED.
Yeah. Yeah, you do need a 3/4 inch drill, the bit, to be able to put that through from underneath. So that's why I always create, in any that I've done, I create a wall not nearly as deep as the building, so I can get it through there. Then you go to the next one. And that's one of the few shots I could get to show. I think I have a couple others.
Yeah, I see the parrots through there.
And that's the total of 4. One of those, it's the only time, the one further back is the built and ready. I really don't like the whole concept of built and ready, but this was the one by Woodland Scenics that has the televisions on at nighttime. And that just, I saw that when I was a kid, that you would drive by and the TV and appliance stores would leave the TVs on overnight. And I said, I have to have it. I don't want to buy it as a ready-made thing, but I have to have that. And I had already planned the city and I'd already built these things in place when I saw that. So that's why the TV store's down a side street like that. It was the only place I could get it to fit unless I was going to bust up all my sidewalks and everything, which wasn't going to happen. So that's where that is. And then the 3 buildings are the 3 that I lit. And they have some window shades on some of them. And then some of it was so tiny that I just had to put in the light diffusing film because I couldn't reach in there to get the shades all the way at the top of the, like the tall building there in the center. Is that everything, or is there
let's see here. Oh,
just that's a nighttime shot of the same thing, and which
Yep.
it came out better in shots like that.
Yep, looks like a nice, quaint little city in the. So yeah, it came out the whole thing came out very nice. Even the one you decided to bury in the back. I mean, maybe burying it is what makes it look more attractive. I don't know, but it certainly does.
Well, it makes you may, I like to have it where people discover things.
Yeah.
I find that visitors, I have a lot of little details all over, and I find visitors stay 2 or 3 times longer than they ever have in any previous layout. And it's the details.
Yeah. Cool.
David, that's amazing work. Amazing work on N scale. I gotta say that.
Well, that's the key. I may not be in N scale too much longer. In fact, I've spent the greater part of last year, I spent building O scale diorama, which I have this show to blame because I've seen the great detail, and I've just been loving it. I thought I'd start with something easy, so I bought a Sierra West model, and that's a joke. It was about the hardest I ever did, but I loved it. I got immersed in it.
You'll have
And
to
it
show it
came
to
out
us.
very nice. And I'm subsequently built a bar mills. I wanted to go a little lighter, and I went some custom work on that. And I'm currently in another bar mills, and I'm putting interiors in them as well, which means I'm going to have to light them. But I don't really have that much room other than to do just a diorama or something. But I'm loving the size of it. It's getting at 74. It's more and more difficult to see, the N scale. So it's very disconcerting to think about changing scales after 40 some years. I don't think I could ever completely walk away from N scale because it's the only thing I'd ever be able to operate a little. But it
All right.
already has had a slightly diminished place in my hobby.
Fantastic looking stuff. Thank you for sharing, David. All right. Are
Thanks for having me.
Are there any questions? Okay. All right. Well, thanks again. Thanks to everybody that shared tonight. We've had this is a pretty successful show. I'd like to see this kind of participation level a lot. This is great. Anyway, coming up, the upcoming MyBuild challenges and shows. December 17th is a challenge. It's layouts. Submission deadline for that. So please get your stuff to me by December 14th. And then moving into January and February, there's pretty much free-for-alls. Anything goes. You see the rest of the submissions through or the rest of the subjects that we're going to have and the show dates through June. So anyway, thank you all for watching. Thanks to those that participated. I was very encouraged to see some people that haven't participated before and some people that haven't participated in a while. So thanks to everyone. And with that, I will wish everyone a happy Thanksgiving. And I guess I'll turn it back over to you, Tom.
Yeah, great show, Chris, Coarse. And we're going to close the show. We're running a little late this evening. And happy Thanksgiving from the crew at New Tracks Modeling. Phil's got a quick slide to show us on that. And then we'll have Father Ron close the show, and then we'll do a caboose. Or not. Phil?
Sorry about that. I wasn't prepared. So happy
Still
Thanksgiving,
here?
everyone. Isn't it there? Isn't it there? You should have a share now.
No, that looks great. Nicely done.
Yeah, so this is actually, for those of you who don't know, this is one of the bridges on the Western Pacific line. So the upper bridge is actually a road bridge and the lower bridge is the railroad bridge. I did a trip through the Feather River Canyon and took this picture. I thought it was pretty cool. Caught a BNSF train coming down from the canyon, was able to get a bunch of pictures of it. So from us, happy Thanksgiving to all of you.
Back at you. Thank you.
And now I'd like to have Father Ron close the show, and then we'll have our caboose.
Creator of the world, as modelers and makers, we recognize the intricacy and the beauty of the world. We thank you for the vision and artistry you have given us. Continue to bless us with your creative spirit. Amen.
Thank you, Father Ron. And now our caboose, and away we go. Little augmented AI, I believe, there. So, well, that concludes our show, and it was a busy show. Busy show's a happy show. We'll see you all next Wednesday, 7 p.m. Eastern. Thank you, Craig, all the way from Australia, and the other participants. Fine presentations this evening. Really appreciate it. Have a good evening and a great Thanksgiving.